An online game called Blue Whale has made international headlines in recent days, and it has a number of local organizations, including the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. Concerned teenagers here may soon be able to access it. The game is believed to have originated in Russia and has been linked to at least 130 deaths. While not available in South Africa at this time, the game is downloaded onto a computer or smartphone and the user is then presented with daily tasks by an assigned administrator. The challenges are dangerous and sinister, with users encouraged to kill themselves on the 50th and final day. Social media analyst and MD of Black Box Theory Yavi Madarai, who has been researching the game, warns that its arrival in South Africa is imminent. The game, which also goes by A Sea of Whales or A Silent House or Wake Me Up at 4:20 a.m., is downloaded, and once the user has signed in, a group administrator assigns daily tasks which have to be completed over 50 days. The horrific tasks include self-harming, watching horror movies, and waking up at odd hours. The challenges gradually become more extreme, and on the 50th and final day the user is encouraged to commit suicide. Madarai says vulnerable teenagers are targeted. She says while this game hasn't hit South Africa as yet, it will in soon. Yes, we haven't got it in South Africa as yet, but it doesn't mean it's not going to hit us. Generally, when it comes to these kinds of things, whether positive or negative, things that trend, we tend to pick it up 2 to 3 months later. And that's just because we have our own stuff going on, and the way things like Twitter, Instagram and Facebook work, is that they have a localized situation where we see things come up on our feeds that are more local. So one person needs to pick it up, or you have one death and then all of a sudden you see that it will spread like wildfire, it will go viral. It's late, but it doesn't mean it's not going to hit us. Eyewitness News has come across a number of teenagers on Twitter and on social network site VK.com, a social network used mainly in Russia, who regularly post pictures of a whale carved into their arms or cuts on their lips. Many youngsters also show a keen interest in playing this game and have joined death groups where like-minded individuals encourage each other to commit suicide. While this may seem unimaginable, the trend has been reported across the globe. 2 Russian teenagers, who are possible victims, jumped from a 14-story building. One of the teens, Yulia Konstantinova, apparently posted a picture of a blue whale on Instagram and left a note saying "end" on her social media page. A Russian newspaper apparently linked 130 teen suicides to blue whale. However, according to fact-checking site Snopes, there's no proof that the game is directly responsible for the suicides. The claim that the Blue Whale suicide game, named after the way whales sometimes beach themselves and then die, had resulted in a wave of suicides appears to have originated with a misinterpretation of a May 2016 story from the Russian site Novaya Gazeta. That article reported dozens of suicides of children in Russia during a 6-month span, asserting that some of the people who had taken their lives were part of the same online game community on VK.com, a social media network based out of St. Petersburg, Russia. We counted 130 suicides of children that occurred in Russia from November 2015 to April 2016. Almost all of them were members of the same group on the internet. Novaya Gazeta reported that at least 80 of the suicides were linked to these Blue Whale games, but an investigation by Radio Free Europe found that no suicides had been definitively linked to these online communities. There have now been reported cases in several parts of Europe, South America and more recently in Kenya where the game has apparently been banned. Why create a game like this? Yavi Madarai explains that these games are used to make money and of course drain data from the user's phone. What can you do? Madarai says it's almost impossible to try and stop a game or app from being accessible, and even if social media sites are able to do so, a new game or app will soon emerge. Instagram, for instance, has posted a warning note when searching for #BlueWhale. The message reads, Posts with words or tags you're searching for often encourage behavior that can cause harm and even lead to death. If you're going through something difficult, we'd like to help. Madurai says parents, teachers and leaders in society need to be aware of the dangers of such games, but more importantly, she says they need to be tech savvy. She says parents, for instance, should spend some time learning about social media and what platforms their children use. Counseling psychologist Jeremy Bayer says it's important to discover the internet with your child or teenager. Parents need to set rules when it comes to social media. Youngsters also need to be taught that what's unacceptable in day-to-day life is also unacceptable online. Just as you would discourage bullying, you will discourage cyberbullying. Kathy Chambers from the South African Depression and Anxiety Group says they are aware of the Blue Whale game, saying it's very concerning that this type of game can influence teenagers to perform these challenges. She says the group is monitoring the situation to see if any cases are reported in South Africa. However, Chambers says parents can prepare and do have control. It is very concerning, but I think for a parent it is really a time now that we can prepare if the game, does hit the shores. Again, we also have to remember that this is online, so parents have a bit more control here as to what access their children have. In the past 24 hours, some UK news sites have reported that the man behind the game is being held on charges of inciting at least 16 schoolgirls to kill themselves by taking part in the Blue Whale game. It's understood the 21-year-old Russian has confessed to the crimes, and he reportedly says the victims were happy to die and he was merely cleansing society.